Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our meeting of the Irving City Council for February 6, 2025. It's a pleasure to have each and every one of you with us this evening. Our first item on the agenda is organizational service announcements. Shanae, do we have any announcements?
No, sir.
Okay. Our next item is the invocation. If you would please stand, the invocation will be given this evening by Senior Pastor Larry Pittman from the Irving Baptist Fellowship.
If you'll please bow with me. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight to ask of your guidance and favor. Please bless these men and women to continue to do their best in accomplishing the work of the city and to bring about positive influences to move our precious city forward. We're mindful of our tendency to think of our own interest, but we ask you to influence us to do what is best for the areas of need that we can affect and make a difference for. As we have begun a new year, Father, we are remembering the precious souls that we have to move forward without. We're so grateful for those souls, such as former Mayor Bobby Joe Raper and others that have been so helpful and influential in our precious city. Please comfort their loved ones and fill the hole that they have left with good folks that continue their legacy of standing true for the city of Irving. Again, we pray your blessings upon this meeting and the leaders who stand here and have to make such major decisions. Guide them to do their very best, and please reward them for their faithfulness. We ask all these things in your holy and powerful name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. At this time, if you remain standing, Councilman Taylor will lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next item on our agenda is public comments. Shanae, do we have residents who would like to speak to us this evening?
Yes, sir, we do. We have 3. Let me get this script out real quick. Public comments provides the opportunity to our citizens to address the council on items that are not listed on the regular agenda. The council will listen, but they will not respond as they are restricted from deliberation by the Texas Open Meeting Act. While the mayor and council may not respond, you are welcome to contact them directly. Their phone numbers and emails are listed on the website, and a meeting can be requested. If your comments require a response, the follow-up will be handled by the communications team. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and I will let you know when 1 minute is left. Please state your name and address prior to your comments. A professional presentation is requested. Any handouts you wish to provide to the council members should be given to the police officers on either side of the chamber. Please do not approach the dais. Our first speaker is Richard P. Jackson, followed by Anthony Bond.
Okay, good evening. My name's Richard Jackson. My address is 3874 Evergreen Street, apartment 136, Irving, Texas. Apologize for my throat. I've had throat cancer. I'm here to ask the city to please consider doing something with the overpopulation of the coyotes. I mean, they're in our backyards. They're everywhere. I mean, a lady walking her dog down the street has to worry about being attacked by coyotes. I mean, this is an overpopulation. It's not like normal. I mean, there are so many, and they're capable of reproducing 6 a year. If there's only 750 females, which we know there's way more than that, that's 4,500 extra a year. If we don't start doing something about it now, it's only going to get worse. I mean, I beg you to please consider this. I'm very active in taking care of, caring the feral and stray cats in the city, as many people are. And these coyotes are eating them. I mean, they're eating them alive. You know, they're eating people's chickens, small pets. When you see dogs and cats missing on the neighborhood apps, chances are Coyote ate them. I mean, look, when you call the city to complain or you call animal services or the police department, their response is deal with it. They're in their natural environment. I don't believe that a coyote at your back door is considered their natural environment. I mean, they're everywhere, just in my little small complex where I live. Myself and people that I hired, we patrol every night now to keep these animals off of our cats and other small pets. Please, if you would consider this, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for coming down. I really do appreciate you sharing your thoughts. What I'd like to do is Chief Miller is in the back. He is our chief of police. He does manage the animal control services, and I've asked him to get with you if you have a few minutes right now.
Oh,
so
yes,
we can
sir.
follow up with you, get you connected again to our animal control, and see what we can do, get out to your apartment complex, start talking to the residents, and look at some mitigation issues. So, Chief, if you could raise your hand and back. He's the guy with the badge and the gun. You go ahead and talk to him, and he'd be happy to help you out.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Mr. Anthony Bond, followed by Sergio Porras.
My name is Anthony Bond. I live at 4109 West Northgate, number 821, 75062. I hope I can get through this. This is hard for me. I got a question. As a citizen of Irving, Texas, I've been here for 36 years. I'm 70 years old, so that means if you do the math, that's over half of my life. I've got a very important question to ask this current city council. Is there a cartel and an attempted takeover of the city of Irving, Texas City Council occurring here? To me, the way I characterize it, I've seen it in writing that led me here tonight. There is a scourge, I call it a scourge. Those are my words. Running through our city that is affecting our current Irving City Council right now. And it is working diligently to accomplish its goal, in my opinion, to take control of our city, Irving City Council by a religiously invigorated, small group of Irving citizens that back their religious agenda that, in my opinion, has no place here, ever, on this Irving City Council. I'm here against my doctor's orders, but I had to come because this takeover attempt, so-called takeover attempt, is just too much for me to sit by silently and say nothing about. To me,
1 minute.
This is a religious takeover grab, and my prayer and hope is for so many others here in Irving to join me in this effort to tell the truth about this to our citizens. Furthermore, my prayer is for the truth, justice, and righteousness to help stop this cartel and this attempted takeover. When one plays with God, many have told me you play with fire. This religious takeover attempt can potentially do irreparable harm to our city of Irving, Texas. We all breathe the same air. Happy Black History Month to you all. I pray for the city of Irving constantly, and everybody's trying to do this to our city too.
Final speaker is Sergio Porras.
Hi, my name is Sergio Porras. I live at 700 McCoy Drive, and I'm here today to speak about the importance of staffing our fire crews. Irving is the largest city without consistent four-person crews on its engines. Foremost, the size of the crew is a key factor when determining whether to enter into a burning building at all. Additionally, a study from 2010 conducted by the National Institute of Standards and Technology found that four-person crews respond significantly faster and more effectively to fires. The Dallas Fire Department confirmed those results in two studies, one in 1969 and one in 1984, where they determined that four-person crews conducted critical tasks in half the time as smaller crews. When a fire breaks out, every second counts. Delays means greater risk. And that risk is not only for the people in danger, but also for our firefighters. There's a report from the National Fire Data Center that shows that firefighters are twice as likely to be injured in a fire than civilians. Last November, the 71% of Irving voters supported giving our firefighters the right for collective bargaining. That overwhelming majority sends a clear message that Irving values its firefighters. Now is the time to turn that support into action. According to CoreLogic, since 2019, there's been a 32% surge in the property taxes of Dallas County. That's third highest in the country. With revenue growth of that kind, I think it should be a top priority to give our firefighters the resources they need.
1 minute.
I want the city of Irving to be a leader in fire safety and that we give the firefighters the support they deserve. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, which is items 2 through 24. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion for approval of consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Brings us to our individual consideration items. Item number 25, which is a resolution considering a request by OSDA for local support for an application to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs to develop affordable housing at 1415 West Airport Freeway. We'll go ahead and hear from the applicant. He has 5 minutes for a presentation. We'll then ask if there are people in support or opposition. They'll have 3 minutes. Then the applicant will have a chance to respond. And then if there are any questions from the council, and then we'll take a vote. So we'll go ahead and have the applicant come forward. Good evening. And ask if there are people in support or opposition. They'll have 3 minutes. Then the applicant will have a chance to respond. And then if there are any questions from the council, and then we'll take a vote. So we'll go ahead and have it. So we have a little audio back up here. Okay.
Okay. I was hearing your voice and your mouth was not moving. That was a little confusing. My name is Megan Lash. Good to see you all again. Very excited to talk to you about this project tonight. We are calling it Envoy 64. It is located 1415 Airport Freeway. Just a little bit of background about us. I'm a Texas-based woman-owned firm. I have 15 years of multifamily experience. I've developed over 3,000 units in the state of Texas. We are a long-term multifamily owner. Developed the Canova Palms property that is here in Irving. We have green building practices in everything that we do, building energy efficiency into our development practices. And we have on-site managers and maintenance as well. So the property that we are bringing forward tonight for a potential resolution of support is an existing multifamily development that was built in 1964. And as many of you are maybe familiar with this property as you drive by it frequently, it needs some love. And so we're hoping that we can, with this financing application, bring not only up to code, but also some new life into the property as well from an aesthetics perspective. It's 2.96 acres. It's currently called the Embassy Apartments. We will rehab or demolish the existing 111 units and build back 111 units. I know in previous discussions during work session, we talked about adding a handful of units, but we are going to stick with the existing number of units. This will allow the property, this reinvestment will allow us to create more affordable housing on site. Some of these units are existing affordable, but we'll show you the rent schedule here in a moment that will kind of show how we're going to be creating more affordable housing. So this is a proposed site plan, and my team met this afternoon with city staff, and I think this site plan is going to continue to kind of get massaged as we go through the process. What this shows is us essentially demolishing the first 4 buildings in the property, and then keeping the units in the back, the buildings in the back. One of the biggest things that we see in this development is that currently there is not fire access, which to us is a problem. So if something were to happen right now, those existing driveways are only 16 feet wide, which do not meet code. The buildings are also not fire sprinkled because that was not part of code back then. And so we would be going in, helping create fire lanes, and then fire sprinkling every building on site, even if we elect to keep buildings in the back as well. So our goal here is to not only make the property look up to modern times, but also bring it up to the fire code, which we know is very important. This is an example on the left-hand side of the first table. It shows the current rent that is on site based on the size of the bedrooms. We will have a mix of rents across the property. We will have 30% all the way to 80% of area median income. The area median income is based off of the county that we're in, and so those rents are evaluated on a yearly basis based on HUD. And under the current 2020, it's still under 2024 rents, this is what the mix of the rents will be. So you can see that we'll have a good number of units that will actually create a more affordable rent than what they currently have. And these units will also have a control on how much the rent can increase on a yearly basis. It does allow for a small amount of increase, but it's $75 or less is what we're typically seeing that HUD allows. And here's the current unit mix, and here's the proposed unit mix. Really the only big difference is that we're trying to create a few more multi-bedroom units within the existing property to serve more families. It's a list of nearby amenities that we felt was very important. And this is just an example of a property very similar, also built in the 60s, that we're getting ready to do in Fort Worth. So it's 1960s build, and this is one that we're just rehabbing. Some of our on-site amenities, currently right now there's not an amenity center, so we'll be adding an amenity center for the residents, cyber lounge, fitness center, on-site management, maintenance, outdoor courtyard space. And then here's an example of, the bottom is an example of one of our projects that we've completed that is a new and revised kitchen, and an example of what the older ones look like. We will have on-site resident support services. I know I'm short on time, but we'll have health screening, fitness classes, things for the residents, and then we always have some sort of public art. This is an example of that. 2 letters of support that we've received from the community for this development, and then just some development examples of other properties that we've completed in the area. And of course, Canova Palms. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Sinead, do we have people who have signed up in support or opposition?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in support? In opposition? Seeing none, are there any questions of the applicant from the council? Seeing none, we can take an action that I believe we have 3 options. So I would entertain a motion. Dennis?
Yeah, I'll be willing to make a motion. First, I'd like to just, commend Megan and the group for bringing us, a possibility of another project here in our city to provide affordable housing. As anybody been around me know, I am a very strong proponent for affordable housing units. I just want to make sure that people, when they hear the word affordable housing or low-income housing, that they don't equate it with something that, you may see in a project somewhere. These are high-quality, nice units. And the other thing about this project is that it's taking an old apartment complex and updating it with new amenities and a new building. And it's also along our airport freeway corridor. So, and as we talked earlier today about the airport freeway corridor, and making it look better, this is one step in doing that. So a resolution of support for them tonight helps them to score more points, because this is a competitive process that they're having to compete with other developers. So with that said, I'd be willing to make a recommendation that we pass a resolution of support.
I'll second.
Kyle?
Yeah, second, I just want to say also that we've talked an awful lot about how we do and what's important to the council regarding multifamily. And I think Megan has come in with a project in which she's going to take down something that has been around since 1962 that doesn't have fire lanes, doesn't have sprinklers, put something in there that families will be able to call home. She'll actually do the rental contracts and the conversations with the residents there the legal way, and do things that is the way those residents can be treated, so they will have a full quality of life. So I'm very much in support of this project, so I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would you please vote? And it passes 5-2. The next one is our zoning cases and companion items, items 26 through 28. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to speak on these items, if you would please stand and be sworn in by our City Secretary, Shanae Jennings.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that all statements which you will make tonight to the City Council of the City of Irving will be the truth and nothing but the truth? You may be seated.
Thank you. Our first item is number 26, ordinance 2024-330ZC, considering a zoning change from R6, single-family residential 6 to SP2 R6, generalized site plan single-family residential 6, to allow an accessory building with variances to the maximum height, the minimum side, the rear yard setback at 1214 South Britton Road. Is the applicant with us this evening? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Once again, hopefully this is the last time that we meet. My name is Samuel Castillo. I live in 1214 South Britton Road. I'm just here to renegotiate or repropose this. We worked, me, Gina, and Jocelyn, regarding restructuring my structure of the shed to lowering it down. I just need to confirm the changes, because I didn't get no final email regarding the structure shed. So I do apologize on that. I was not prepared on that, because I didn't receive an email regarding the final changes and finalizing this. So I just need to confirm to make sure that this is going to be correct, please, if that's okay with y'all.
Mayor?
Yes.
So what we have here, the proposal in front of us at this point, the revised proposal is height of 16 feet, which does not require a variance. And then because of the height over 10 feet, it is a 6'8" variance on the side yard setback and a 4'6" variance on the rear yard setback.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that's what me and Gina worked together. We took some time and we came together to propose this to y'all, to see in, y'all's opinion, if this is something that is going to be something you're willing to work with me. The only thing that I asked, is it was just a little bit of time to get this completed, so that way I can meet the requirements that I'm proposing. So, I can, make the changes if it gets approved.
Okay. Sinead, do we have anyone signed to speak up, either for or against?
No, sir.
Okay. Questions of the applicant from the council? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
There being no further questions, I'd entertain a motion. John?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote?
Motion fails. Fails.
It fails.
Motion
4 to
fails.
3.
Yeah, 4 to 3. It takes 5 to pass a resolution, in case anyone's curious, or ordinance.
So it passes because of the lack of numbers.
Doesn't have enough votes.
Okay. So that takes us to our next item, number 27, which is ordinance 2024-3326 UDC, considering an amendment to the Unified Development Code regarding readoption of Section 3.20, development standards for data centers and required data centers by conditional use permit. Sinead, do we have individuals signed up to speak on this evening?
I believe probably the applicant, Michael Carter.
I'm not the applicant.
You're not? Okay. Was the applicant here?
No, it's us. It's us. We're the applicant.
Oh, okay. I wasn't paying attention. So Michael Carter, you're up.
Thank you very much. Good to see you all again. I'm obviously Michael Carter, president of Go Commercial, 3258 Hartley Field Road, Denton, Texas, 76208. A full public disclosure, I do represent the Calvary Church, and I've been authorized by Constellation Real Estate Partners, who has an active resubmittal next month, to speak to you all tonight in favor of this CUP or CUP you're proposing. But I have some concerns and questions, and I just wanted to make sure, in the benefit of all, it would affect our application and our development somewhat, and certainly the city of Irving, so bear with me. First of all, thank you for letting us resubmit next month to the entire council and mayor. Based on, I've been to all the public meetings this week in regards to the conditional use permit discussion. My client received the QSR mail out, which I thought was very thorough. That's not easy to do for 6,500 residents. And I think you can see by the lack of opposition that unless there's an HOA or homeownership group directly involved neighboring a project like that, it seems to me that there's overwhelming support for data centers by the residents of Irving, or at least a very much acceptance of them. I've also, on behalf of Constellation and myself, we want to support and applaud what you've done here and what you're proposing. It's a great thing on your part and the efforts to take care of the well-being of your citizens, okay? Data centers, though, are new to everybody. They're certainly new to cities. They're new to developers like us, and they're obviously new to the public, right? But at the end of the day, they're just industrial buildings with different components and actually less people in them and certainly less semis, okay? So what I would like to forward are some questions and concerns that we have about the nature of how you're setting up the conditional use permit, CUP, or let's call it a CUP. In effect, a CUP is a temporary license.
1 minute left.
Okay. In effect, a CUP is a temporary license with performance conditions that are renewable or non-renewable. The renewable mechanism devalues the highest achievable property value, and I question if it's even mortgage financeable due to the massive capital stack required to fund a data center and put a large commercial mortgage on these properties, some of which can be $500 million to $1 billion in property value. Okay? Data centers, as I said, are just industrial buildings. They have leaseholds even for servers with tenants. And what that equates to is it has a smaller buying pool when it has a CUP renewable license because the mortgage is still typically 20 years. So a CUP today is a political encumbrance, which is positive only if it's market achievable and it can be funded and built. So that is my question to council. Was that really delved into and considered before you presented something like this? And my high recommendation, I'm here to answer questions, but I would consider tabling this for further investigation. It's not a business tactic or a negotiation for us. I just think you might be leaving millions and millions of taxpayer dollar revenue on the table. I think a special use permit that's designer for data center would be a better vehicle. Thank you for listening. I'm happy to give real-world examples and answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions, comments from I should say, Sinead, do we have any others to speak?
Nope.
Questions, comments from the council? Al?
I have a motion, if that's in order, moving for approval of ordinance 2024-326 UDC.
Second the motion.
Motion second. Mark, did you want to speak?
Yeah,
Sure, go ahead.
So in reference to the gentleman's comment about the length of the, your mortgage loans and then the conditional use permit, what's the time frame on these conditional use permits? Is it by case, or do we have, maybe I'll sleep on one of these presentations, but. Okay.
We'll get some input here from the staff.
Good
evening, Jocelyn Murphy, Director of Planning. Generally, the ordinance was written to be indefinite unless council chose to put a time limit. So as we've been working through, the expectation was that data centers would probably be an indefinite time limit. And that would just leave in place revocation and the other options within a conditional use permit.
Okay. All right. So at the end of the day, it kind of comes up to depends on the council, how long it goes.
Yes, the conditional use permit in general was written that way. With the data centers, it would be difficult to put a time limit on there, but that's the way it was written.
Okay.
John.
Thank you, Mayor. Jocelyn, when we've been talking about this in work sessions and committees, the language that you guys have been using when we're talking about time limits has been data centers would likely not meet the criteria required for us to put a time limit on that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that? Is that just from our ordinance, or is that state law, or what is that?
Well, it's our ordinance. It's the bottom line of this slide, that it's the way the ordinance reads is whether it's a temporary or interim use, because there are different criteria as to whether time limits should be set. And one of the criteria would be, if it was temporary interim, that would be appropriate for conditional use permit. And so.
For a time limit.
For a time limit, I'm sorry. Yes, for a time limit. So as a data center likely is not temporary interim, that was why we made that expression.
Right. Okay. Would it be possible at some point to come back and revise this to make it more explicit in our ordinances that time limits are not applicable to data center CUPs? Because I think you're right. It's not an interim use, and the amount of capital investment that you put into one of those properties, it would be inappropriate, because it's not like you can kind of just say, well, it'll be a data center for 5 years, and then we'll see.
I don't think it's necessary to amend an ordinance for that. That would just be a policy of the council. As conditional use permits come through, you would make that consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 28 is ordinance 2025-17CP, considering adoption of updates to the Imagine Irving Future Land Use Plan. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on this, Shanae?
No, sir.
Are there any questions from the council? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
A motion and a second. Would you please vote? and it passes unanimously. And that brings us to the end of our agenda for this evening. Thank you all for being with us.